Going to take a couple minutes, probably less than a couple minutes, to just tell you a couple things. Your 5th grade group of students is huge. Okay, and by huge in our standards is the number I'm about to give you, because we're a smaller school. That's not huge in other parts of my career, but there's 44 current 5th graders. Okay, which is probably twice as many as most of our classes of grade level. We do not build a schedule to accommodate 44 kids taking core unless you tell us that. So when the survey comes out, you don't have a survey right now. What you have out in your possession is ideas and thoughts about classes and skills towards classes that we need to consider to put on the schedule. We currently have math, science, and English only for 6th grade. We didn't do social studies this last year, okay? For a variety of reasons that I'm not going to get into, but those are the only 3 that we currently have. I don't know that I'm building in social studies again or not, but it could happen. But when that survey comes out, I need you that are here to spread the word to the 35 others that aren't here that we really need to know if you're taking any core class. Because if I get 20 6th graders that want a core class, we may only build 1, right? Which would mean more than what we would typically do, which is 12 to 16. But we've done that before. But if 35 people sign up and say they want core, then that helps us as a committee to build a schedule that has 2 sections of everything that we think we're going to need instead of 1 section. Okay, so please spread that word that we really need to know, because there's a lot of current 5th graders. Okay, I will remind you that we're more than happy to help you and have you take our classes for core. But because you're going into 6th grade, that does not mean you need to do that. Right? You can continue to teach whatever you want the same way you've been doing it since you've been with us for your kindergarten through 5th grade student. We may not have it on the shelf, we may not have a class built yet, but we can work through those things. You can even use similar curriculum that we would use in class if you want to. We just got to get it for you. And you don't have to take it from our teachers. We would love to have you and we'll take care of you, but you don't have to do it that way. It's still a partnership where you get to make some of those decisions for yourselves. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm maybe ahead of the game on this one question, but if that were the case, right now we do the monthly reviews for 5th and down. What's the criteria, or what's the requirement for us as parents who are teaching home at 4 levels?
Same. You would do a review just like you're currently doing now.
For graduation requirements, right?
You don't have to worry about graduation anything until you get to high school.
Okay.
So nothing changes whatsoever
Until 9th grade.
until 9th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of if you're doing it at home and you're partnering with us on it like you have been, you're going to fill out those monthly review inputs just like you are right now.
Okay.
And really 9th grade's the same thing. We just have to be sure that the curriculum is high school level and we can give it credit. That's why we ask you to try to use something that's already been approved.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions before I hand it over to them and get to go do something else in my my world of work?
We'll have time for questions
Yeah.
and answers.
But if they're specifically for me, you think.
Well, so I'll tell, because our advisor, she knows that some of the curriculum we've already been done with for 5th grade for Tatum, our oldest, I'm starting on 6th grade stuff, even though I haven't been decided if she's doing 4 here or not. But there's no 6th grade Singapore math syllabus built. So I'm like, now how do I help?
We'll need to work on.
Okay.
You'll need
I got it.
to work on
I'm
that.
gonna make sure I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm bugging the right person.
Because Singapore is already approved. We just don't have one for 6th grade. We just got to build
And
it.
that's me.
Yeah.
I just have to build it. It's okay.
I will
It's
help.
all
I'll
good.
just
It'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got to build it.
Yeah, no big deal. Okay. All right, let's get on with this. Okay. So, for those who don't know, I am Kelly Hall. I've been teaching 6th and 7th grade language arts for quite a while. Raised 5 kids in this program, And so I know your struggle, okay? I know that homeschooling can be kind of difficult, especially when they get older, especially with 6th grade and up. I'm sure none of you have kids that push back at all. None. Great, I'm sure it's wonderful time. Okay, but for me, it was kind of difficult. So I am here to partner with you. We are here to partner with you. Core class, most of it is going to be here. But then we also are going to give you work for the student to work on when they are not here. We're not a 5-day school. For me, it's 3 days of English, okay? Not every subject is going to be like that, but for my class, it's 3 days a week. It's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, okay? And so we're going to talk about just a little bit the information that I can try to get out to you, and then you can answer questions or ask questions. So first of all, how do you know if your kid is ready for core classes? Step number 1 is the iReady, okay? I'm going to offer that March 11th and 13th. If we need another time for you to have your student come into the library and take it, or your student needs more time, that's okay. We'll work on it. I will provide more opportunity for that. It's really best if they take it in the library so that we know that it's just a monitored time in there, okay? And then here are the core teachers. So we have Mr. Bies is covering math, except for Miss Brindley's doing the geometry, and then we have 6th and 7th grade, that's me, 8th, 9th, 10th, that's Mrs. Jenkins, and then the history is Mrs. Hardesty. She's not able to be here right now. We have the science, 7, biology and chemistry is Mr. Litke, and then we have the science 6, 8th, and environmental and earth science is Mr. Ross, okay? So certainly if you have questions about a specific class, you can talk to us. We're here for you, okay? So again, the iReady, good assessment. We have reading assessment and math assessment. And I would recommend that you have your student take both of those. That's going to be March 11th again and March 13th. And then there should be a sign up online. I don't know if Judy got that out yet or not, but she will.
Should they take both subjects in one day, break it up over 2 days?
You know,
Like how long?
I think breaking it up would be best.
Okay, like reading one of the days.
Right, and let's say that your student is on doing iReady for a couple hours, and then it is just too much. That's okay. You know what, an hour, I'm willing to work with you on another time. What they do is saved on iReady. They can come back and start it again and take more time, okay? I don't want this to be a big, stressful thing for your student, and really, it's just an assessment, okay? This is for you to know where your student is at.
Another parent had kind of told me, and maybe you can speak to this, is that like she was under the impression, let them take as long as they need and breaks and come back, but she said that ended up impacting their score because it does have a time factor into their score. Is that?
Well, I wonder if they stopped it and paused it and came back to it later. Maybe you can speak more. I think if
There's
you're
not.
just, you just pause it. I don't think that's, and certainly if they say, you know what, you say, my daughter is just done for the day,
Yeah.
that's okay. And then it'll save it, come back to it another time. And you and I can even talk about like what day that'll work for you or whatever, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken it several times, it doesn't seem to.
It doesn't
Yeah.
seem to.
Stopping them.
Okay.
And then they
I
do
don't know why
have
they
this like capping, that you can play for a few minutes break during the game, and then you can get a walk around and get a dinner, things like that.
Yeah.
It hasn't seemed to.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So be looking for that to come out to be able to get on, to register, sign up for that. Okay, I don't want to overwhelm you all, but I'm gonna put it out here. Here is a list of skills for my class that your student should know. Now, do I expect your child to be perfect in all of it? No. No, we're gonna learn together, but I really believe that I want your kid to be successful, okay? I want your student to be successful in my class, and I believe there's some certain skills that are needed in order to do that. So I'm gonna pass this around. Here you go. If you wanna take it, you can. That's what's up there for when it comes to reading and writing. You know, in English, we're not just doing that. I pulled a little, one of my slides of what we're doing right now. And so right now, for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, kids always come in, they do a bell ringer, just some kind of activity. Right now, it's just reading because we're going to do Battle of the Books pretty soon. The kids are really into it. Let's see if I have this. This is what, these are the books that they are working on right now. Battle of the Books is they read a certain amount of books, and then they do a reading comprehension competition. And then, of course, there's the trophy over there. So they get to kind of compete. And it's just fun, but those are the books that we're reading right now. So we're doing that, and then we are working on, I love mysteries, and so we're working on a rough copy of the Mystery of the Missing Ring. I'm really big on evidence-based writing because I always see when it comes to iReady scores, informative text, critical thinking, students are pretty low on those. And so evidence-based writing, I believe, is really, really helpful for students. And so what I use is EB Academics, which I love. Great program. It's built more for a school, for a classroom, but we have some really fun stuff in there, and that's why we're doing the Mystery of the Missing Ring and Who Stole the Ring. And now we're going to have this, for 7th graders, we're going to have a mock trial and all this. It's going to be fun. I also use Shirley English for grammar. So for 6th grade, we actually do the 7th grade one. They're real similar. Anyways, so we do that for grammar, sentence structure, and then if you have questions about EB Academics, I have a little thing here you can grab. It talks all about the program, and it also I also have an example of a graphic organizer we use because I'm really big on teaching students how to structure their essays. And then they use these, so I give them a lot of support on how to do that. I also use ReadWorks when it comes to reading comprehension. If you guys are interested, you could access this. I don't know if you all know about ReadWorks, but I like ReadWorks. It has a lot of informative articles and good reading comprehension questions that are really helpful. Okay, let's see here. Oh yes, and we do at the start of school, we do a boot camp because a lot of these 6th graders have no idea how to organize and how to structure their study time. So we talk a lot about this, and I'm still working. We're still working on that a little bit. Let's see what else. I think that's it right now. We do have expectations. Again, I want to partner with you, okay? I will require you to complete rubrics when it comes to essays that are that your student writes, mainly so that you see what's going on, what they're writing, what they're learning, okay? Keep you involved. And plus, I always say every good author needs their editor. So every student needs their editor, needs somebody there to kind of help them and catch, errors and all that. Okay, so I think that's about it for me. I'm wondering if we could have, Erica, would you like to share anything about what you're doing? I know that you're 8th grade. I don't know if you have, are there any incoming eighth grade students that are, no?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, right there, okay, all right. Matt, would you like to share a little bit?
Sure,
Okay, and then
yeah.
we have Ross, share a little bit too.
Okay, one thing I will say,
Here you go.
oh, really? Okay, fine.
I know.
My name is Mr. Lidke. So one thing I will say is that we met, is that even though we only meet 2 days a week for science or 3 days a week for English, we are still a 5-day-a-week school. So there's that expectation that they're doing some other material at home for those other days. And so typically for my class, I'll give them, so now we're on, for 7th grade, we're on the Monday, Wednesday schedule. So on Monday, they'll get an assignment that they'll do at home on Tuesday, that they'll then come back in, and on Wednesday, then they'll get something else that will carry them, another assignment that will carry them for Thursday and Friday. Then we'll go over back on Monday. So we only meet 2 days a week, but we still have 5 days a week worth of stuff. So a lot of the stuff that she said is also the same thing what we do. I work with them on creating what are CERs, claim evidence reasoning. I give them a scenario about something. We did one on, this year was on cats falling out of windows. And so, and then we did another one on who ate the Cheerios. You know, can you make a claim reading text and pull out information out of that and then make an argument of why this is such and such and such. Okay, so it's a skill that they start in 6th grade, we carry over in 7th grade, then they carry over, I know Ross is working with them also in 8th grade to do the same thing. Okay, so it's a big skill, it takes a lot it's a lot of practice. We spend a lot of time practicing it, so I don't grade them very hard, but we do try to then process that to get them up so they can read something and then pull information out of that text. Cool.
All right, Randy?
I don't think it's any.
Thanks.
Are all of these classes the same length of time?
Yeah, for the, hour, or less than an hour.
So is the air in this room healthy? I don't know. That's a question I might start a unit with. And right now the kids are collecting evidence for different rooms in our schools using these probes. So we're using scientific tools from Vernier. They're recording data in each room. This is a live update of what is happening in this room right now. Temperature's okay, oxygen's about normal, CO2 is up a little bit. So the kids go into each room and they time data, then they record it on a data chart. We look for trends, we look for outliers, and they do some writing pieces of connecting the dots, making generalizations, and just asking the question, is it healthy? We have data from last year as well. So here's an example of a spreadsheet that the kids are using. And you can see all the rooms on the left side. And then I teach them formulas on how to find averages. And then from there, they look at, oh wow, this room was really high in CO2. I wonder what was going on there. Like 1,069. That's huge. Normal CO2 level is about 400. So maybe we need to do some investigation with that. Then the kids do speeches to a captive audience. Last year we had the building maintenance guy come in, and then they did a little presentation saying, here's what we found, it's evidence, and then they make generalizations and look at conditions. Then we tie it into our real air quality. This is the unit we're doing right now in our book about atmospheres. So the kids, for assignments, the kids would have chapters to read, they would have questions to do. This is a real, it's 6th, 7th, 8th, this is the 6th, 7th, 8th textbook from McGraw-Hill. They would have activity pages like this. This would be like maybe a Wednesday, Monday assignment packet. And then they would go through their book, they would do examples and read about things and respond this way. But this builds understanding to what I like to accomplish in class. So it's really an integrated process. We did dissections of owl pellets, and there was a whole big unit that went along with that. We only get your kids for 40% of the time. 60% is under your supervision. So it's really important that they know how to use Google Classroom. Here is my typical Google Classroom on Earth's atmosphere. These are the assignments that are coming up. This was due yesterday. This is, there's a couple others on there. And then what we do is post information in here that supports that lesson, and that's what they have to do for the due dates. There's a little video quiz that goes along with that. And then they turn it in on Google Classroom as well. So they turn in their assignment right here. I grade it in Skyward, but all of us use Google Classroom heavily. And that's your key too, to check in with the students' Google Classroom and help them read it and go, oh yeah, you had page 433 to 439. All right, let's get going on it. That's your job to help out with that and make sure it's done and turned in.
So to be clear, like with classwork, assignments, those kind of things, as a parent, make sure we keep track of Google Classroom.
Yeah.
However, if we're focused on like how our kids progressing in grades, we use Skyward.
Skyward is
Okay.
where the grading happens, yeah. Yeah.
Just interject too, because parents don't get to see this.
They look over their kid's
You
shoulder.
have to look over your kid's shoulder, or you can get updates, like if you're invited by the teacher, it can send out a weekly update, but it doesn't show you that, it just
Yeah.
tells you if things are missing, so.
Yeah,
One common misconception is like, we get a lot is, oh, I turned it in.
Yeah.
Or the parents, as a parent, you go, oh, look, Johnny turned it in. Well, it is really easy to turn it
Yeah.
in.
This is
Because
the
all you
turn-
have to do is hit bam.
That's the
and
turn
it-
in right
And
there.
it says it's turned in. Well, just because you press the turn in button doesn't mean you actually turned it in. So I have a lot of students who will say it's turned in, but when we go to look at something, it's not, there's nothing there.
How
right.
do we
So-
make sure it's being turned in?
So that's where, you can, when you talk with them, you go, hey, do you have any assignments? And if any of your students ever go, I don't have any schoolwork to do on Wednesday or Thursday and Friday. Yeah, they do, because there's gonna be something.
Yeah.
So you can look over, and you can see what they submitted. So on the student side, it'll say attached work.
Completed or
If it's not attached, then, they probably haven't turned it in.
We'll go over a lot of that the first
Yeah,
few
we-
weeks of
we-
school too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I can't emphasize Google Classroom is just is a tool that we use just all the time. I don't give them 3 hours of homework a week, but it is a 5-hour class. So for some kids, it may take 2 hours to do. Some kids may get it done in an hour. There might be some extension things that you as a family could take over and look at. Right now, we're doing the atmospheres, and maybe you'd like to investigate the troposphere a little bit more in depth. And that's where your homeschooling comes into play. I'm not limiting you to say, only do this. Take off on it. Make some observations and connections.
So is all of this typed homework?
Some of it is, some of them are activity pages they would do in Google Classroom, like a Google Doc, they would type up.
For me, it's a mixture.
Mix of
There's
writing.
some, like worksheets or graphic organizers. I
Yeah.
like to have the kids handwriting at times, right? So there are times when it'll say, turn this in, but it'll be an actual hard copy, and they have
Yeah.
to.
With 6th grade, I tend to offer both options.
Yeah.
I give them a paper copy if they want to do, and some kids love doing the paper copy. It's not all electronic, but others can just prefer the electronic version and have it all managed for them.
So how proficient do you expect them to be in their typing skills?
Typing is huge, boy.
It is, but
I think it's
Yeah.
a skill they can grow into.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm the same way for seventh grade and higher. I'll give you a paper copy, but when kids go, oh, well, what was the assignment that was posted? Well, what did we do? Oh, it's there. Oh, I lost my homework. No, you didn't, because it's electronic. So, I mean, so you've got a physical copy, but you also get an electronic copy too. And so that's where a lot of people will, if your student does it on paper, that submission button might not mean anything to them. So you gotta know who your kid is when they actually submit something. So the expectation is, if I give you a paper copy, I don't want it electronic. If you do it electronic, I don't want it on paper. Don't do both. But I have some kids who only want to do electronic, and I have some kids that only want to do paper. So I'm okay either way.
Same for me too.
The springboard on what you said earlier is evidence-based. You can't, in science, you gotta make your claim, but then you have to support it with data. And so the kids will be grabbing pieces of data, writing about what they see, but they have to support it with data, not just, oh, I think it's cool. Like, well, needs to be a little bit more in depth than that. And sometimes it's 2 or 3 pieces of data. That's the reasoning, and the CER process is reasoning through your response and getting them ready to be informed citizens. That's really important in our day and age, is to have data and evidence.
And Mr. Folk's typing for keyboarding class was really helpful.
Yeah, keyboarding could be, because a lot of these are typed up assignments, and if they do this type of keyboarding like their dad does, then it's, some dads do.
Do y'all currently have access to the?
Typing.com, yeah, it's on their clever portal.
Okay, is it typing without tears, is that the?
No,
No.
typing.com.
Typing.com.
Yeah, as a district student, you have access to a typing program. You don't have to sit in the typing class, but it's
And once they're logged
typing.com.
into their user account on their.
Clever.
On their Chromebook.
Yeah.
It's all free.
So that's just in 10 minutes, that's kind of what
Right.
my core class looks like.
Before I forget Sue
Yeah.
though, Mr. Buys is not here, so I have just some basic 5th grade math standards here too, so that you can take a look at this. That's gonna be helpful. And then before we have Brooke come up and share a little bit of wisdom about how she's figured out how to balance all this, let me just emphasize too that core class, it's different, and it takes a while for 6th graders to get the hang of this, juggling everything.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And that's okay. We learn by doing, okay? And it takes a while, and maybe your student might feel a little stressed out. I know, just like that, but you know what? It's okay. We're here to help your student learn how to take on more responsibility, how to be more responsible, how to put their name on the paper. Yeah. And but also too, remember that when it comes to core class, it's a different beast. We're making you and your students step up more, and that means that every month, at the end of the month, I have to give a review, you have to give a review of how your student did. And if you're not checking skyward, it could be a what? If you see that your student has an F because that student hasn't turned in work. One unsatisfactory is a warning. Second is, we need to really have, you're meeting with your advisor and you're talking about how to help your student be successful here. Third, your student could be out of the class, okay? So really, in my class, if your student is just not turning in the work, then there's gonna be a problem. If your student's turning in the work and following directions, trying to do the best that he or she can, you know what? Your student's gonna do great in my class, that's it. A lot of it is just learning how to put your name on the paper and turn it in. We can do this, right? Okay. Okay, so Brooke, can you come on up and share a little bit about how you're juggling this and pros and cons, what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, here, I'll let you hold that.
All right, so I've got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old now, but we started Home Connection and it was 5th and 3rd grade. And core has been we've done core for both kids starting in 6th grade, and it's been a positive thing for our family. But they're 2 very different kids, and I just want to say that both kids have been really well supported. Our oldest, when she was, it was COVID, she was going into 6th grade, a lot of anxiety. We actually started with a 504 plan, so I was nervous about how that was going to work. She didn't know about being in class with other kids, and all the teachers were so great. And we had a really positive experience, and she absolutely loves Home Connection. She's a kid that loves to do school in the first place, so for her, it wasn't so much I was worried academically, or she kind of thrives being independent. And like she's taking, high school classes now, and some of the things she's gotten to do in her core class, like with science and things that has really changed what her interests are going forward. And so it's really fun to see, and she wants to do Running Start. So that's been really positive. And then Bella, my youngest, did not love sitting down to do school with me, definitely more pushback. And I was concerned if she'd be academically ready to be in core. And we did the iReady test, and we continue to, and there was so much support from our advisor too, and we actually did a little bit of tutoring at Sylvan the summer before, and she also does a special reading class with Mrs. Jenkins now, but her confidence has grown so much being in core, and she's pushed herself to stay up with her peers. And she owns her homework now. This is 7th grade. 6th grade, she was definitely learning the boot camp, And it's been a much better relationship for me to be partnering with the teacher versus being the main teacher saying, this is your assignment. And so school's been a lot more fun at home. And so I'm super proud of them both. And I guess one, not con, but difference is, before they were in core, sometimes I would go visit my sister for like 3 weeks and we would do school in Southern California. That's different, with core, they want to be here. And even this year there was a trip and I told Annie, and she's like, I can't miss that much 9th grade, So that, not that you can't travel, but it's harder. Yeah, you want to be in class. So that's kind of a trade-off. But for our family, there's still the flexibility of having, the 2 days that they don't have core where we do outside music, horseback. So it's been a good fit for our family. And I felt supported with 2 very different kinds of students. So.
Great.
Thanks, bro.
Do you have any questions for her? Any questions for us?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So did you start with like all 4 core subjects right away in 6th grade, or did you just do one and like still, and jump in? Also, how did you find, or how did your kids find the ability to still take the classes they were interested in, like enrichment classes, along with core? Like, were they still able to do that?
Yeah. We did jump in to doing all the classes, but you can, the kids have lots of friends who are maybe there for their classes for English or math, and then they do history at home. This year, Bella's doing her science class. It worked out better to do at home online. And so lots of kids, you're not set to do all of them, so there's flexibility there. And then what was,
Just like, did they still find they were able to take other classes here that were, more elective or more like enrichment classes?
They did, yeah. I think when we first started, we maybe did too many electives on top of core, and so kind of adjusted that because they do need some time to do that. But yeah, they still did ballet, fashion design, all kinds of other things too, but maybe we did realize, okay, but we also need some downtime at home to do core classes, so it was a good mix for us.
Remember, there's only 3 6th grade core classes.
But you don't have to take all of them. You don't have to take all of them, okay? Mrs. Hardesty showed up.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I got sucked into something, I would have been on time.
So she is covering the 7th grade history. So I don't know if there's anything you wanted to share at all.
No, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I teach the history here, pretty much all of it.
Could you tell us the sequence of history that a kid might need to experience
Yeah,
here?
so
Yeah, thank you, Randy, for saying that. In 7th grade, they take kind of a Middle Ages medieval history class for 2 trimesters. The 3rd trimester is devoted to Washington State history. And it's because we're trying to, that's what the district does in 7th grade. It's just a check off for your transcript ultimately. And so for them to get it done in 7th grade is really good. And, you know, so then it frees them up for different electives or different core classes that they want to take. Then they move into American history. And I can I've been able to sort of make it more consistent, the scope and sequence, you know, going through it, just me. So in 8th grade, they start at colonization and they go through the Civil War, push it into industrialization, and then in 10th grade, they pick up where they left off. So 9th grade's world studies, so it kind of goes flip-flop. It's kind of like world studies, American history, world studies, American history, but the 7th graders are more into the medieval period, and then in world history we go from the Renaissance into the modern period. So it's kind of a continuation. So it's history 7, history 8, history 9, history 10, 7th grade, and 9th grade is kind of a continuation course. So what they take in 7th grade will continue in 9th grade. What they take in 8th grade continues in 10th grade. Does that make sense? Okay. So we're not hopping around and having any like double things that are happening. Because I know when I was teaching the 6th grade classes, we kind of had to double up in 6th grade and 7th grade. And that was just, you know, just trying to make it consistent so the kids aren't learning the same things over again every single year.
So the 7th grade, the Washington history, that counts for their high school requirement, their graduation requirement?
It does.
Are they able to take that at another point in time, or do they have to take it in 7th grade?
No, they can take it. This year we've got 7th and 8th graders in there. They can absolutely take it. You can take it at home. We have an OVA at Washington State history as well. It's just if they get it done in middle school, then they're less, it's just easier, you know, they have more time in their schedule and more freedom in their schedule to take what they need to in the upper grades.
But if they make it to high school without having taken it, can they take your 7th grade one in high school?
No, I asked that. I was hoping that this year's Washington State history class could be a catch-all for everything.
Yeah.
You know, like the 9th graders that forgot, or,
Right,
you know, just
yeah.
oops, I forgot to do that.
Were
You
you
know, and all
not
of a sudden
living
you're-
here at the time?
Right, and all of a sudden your kids are in 9th grade, or you're moving or transitioning or whatever. And I asked Mr. Evans that, and I was hoping that it could be that, but he said that if you put a high school kid in a Washington State history class, then everybody in that class has to use high school curriculum. So that isn't optimal. But I was over the weekend, I was at a conference last week, and I was over the weekend talking to Mrs. Pies about how do we incorporate that in 9th grade, catch those kids that were missing. So, and Judy might be able to speak to this because you're on the scheduling committee, but I'm trying to get some class, whether it's like, it could be a 1 day a week for 2 trimester classes for all those kids that didn't get the Washington State, that want to take it at home, whose parents don't have time to do it at home, don't want to do it over, or whatever, get another option for that Washington State history course. So that would be virtually the same as doing what I'm doing this year, 2 days a week for 1 trimester. It would be 1 day a week, which might be a little easier for high school kids to schedule. You still might have the conflicts with the core classes. Where do you put that 1 day a week class? Do you put it on, you know, Monday at 8:30? That's going to compete with some of the core classes. Do you do it on Tuesday and all the kids are here? So that's something that we'll figure out. But that there are some things to try to catch those kids that just got missed, that don't want to take it on site.
What was the trimester, 1 trimester?
Is it? Okay.
That's, yeah, it has to be, like, it has more hours.
Yeah.
So they can do it in a trimester.
It would be kind of nice to catch those kids that just got missed and have an option for them to be able, and I don't mind teaching it, or somebody else could teach it or whatever, but just getting it on the schedule somewhere.
Classes at 2,
Yeah.
it's not 2.
Not too bad. Yeah, so, I mean, there are a couple options, but having an on-site option would be a good option too, so that's, we're kind of looking at that. I didn't know that until I talked to you. Any other questions?
I guess I have a question. Since there's no 6th grade history, what do you have recommendations for what we should be doing at home in 6th grade?
6th grade's an ancient history class, so that would go back to like Mesopotamia, Egypt, like the ancient history, early man, and it goes through ancient history, so it goes all the way through. I mean, you can look at the scope and sequence.
Are you saying like at other schools that's what they do?
Yeah, that's what they're doing.
Okay.
Yep.
But for us, does it really matter to get, like, you can do whatever you want at your,
Yeah.
within your own school?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to say one more thing about that fee, the Washington State for high school.
Yeah.
The other problem is that it doesn't technically hit any categories for history for graduation. So it has to be an elective.
Yes.
So,
But
but there's
still
so
required.
much
It's
weird
required.
stuff happening.
It's
that
like
when
you
you
check
take it
off.
in high school, it's an elective, but it hits that check in the box to get graduated.
What's as soon as they can take that Washington State history?
7th grade.
So she's doing right now in 5th grade, the history of the world. I
Yeah,
guess.
story of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and is that what you're kind of talking about for 6th grade? Just a continuation of that?
Story of the world.
Volume 1 is ancient times.
Ancient, okay, yeah, so it'd be ancient, typically, I just say that because typically the 6th graders will be in the ancient times.
Okay,
Like ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, early man.
because I know there's
ancient
like
Africa.
supplements to that we can like choose
Yeah.
different areas and just, so that's kind of what you would look for? if
Yeah,
you're doing
so
6th grade?
that's kind of what the 6th graders are doing in
Okay.
history. Yeah,
Thank
and then it moves into more, you kind of trying to march your way through, you know? And then it's more kind of a middle medieval period, around the world medieval, and, you know, so it's not just medieval Europe. It's just like, we just started a Japan unit, so we're doing medieval Japan now. So it's kind of a travel around the world in the medieval period, so during that time period. And then you pick up hopefully in high school where the 7th graders sort of left off in the world. Questions?
Now, you heard high school requirement with Washington State history. There are some other things that could kick into place as a 7th grader, including their high school and beyond plan through a program called Zillow, and there are lessons that they need to complete in 7th grade through 12th grade, and it's one of the high school graduation requirements. They can also start taking classes for credit in 7th grade. Some of my advisees might have a PE class or something like that, but you need to work with your advisor. If you could front load some of those credits before they hit 9th grade, it makes the high school career go a little bit smoother. In high school, they need to take 7 credits per year, a total of 28. And we don't have a 7-period day. So some of it could be that you do ahead of time in 7th and 8th grade. Some of it could be that you take through OVA with a high school, perhaps. There's a whole list of graduation requirements. And remember, they can start that in 7th grade, as well as their Zillow plan too. So, not 6th grade, but
What's a Zillow
bump into
plan?
that.
What is that?
It's a high school and beyond plan. It's looking at their skills and looking at occupations that might match that skill set. And they explore, they watch little interviews, I want to be a dog groomer, and then they watch this guy doing the dog grooming, and he talks about what he does for his daily activities. And then it's based on personality, 4 personality tests. Would you rather walk a dog, would you rather repair a bike?
It's kind
And
of
then
fun for the kids to take.
It kind of pinpoints and narrows down their temperaments, and then it shows them career paths that help them navigate the future.
And that's a class
That-
that they take?
It's a
or-
Zillow activity. Each year they have about 4 or 5 lessons in Zillow to do. The lessons would take probably an hour
So you just do
total.
them at home on
You
your
can do them
own
at
time?
home, yes.
It's not a whole lot.
And once the kids hit 7th grade, they're all kind of enrolled in it. So if you went to Zillow, you'd see them, you could find your student, and then you could start. And it's minimal, like, time commitment, honestly. Before I came here, I was down in Olympia at a school just like this, and I incorporated a Zillow because the district was just picking it up. And we were kind of the test class, I guess.
Right.
And I actually used some of the stuff like, what's your learning style? And ask you all kinds of fun questions like, would you rather do this or this? Would you rather do this or this? And then you learn if you're a tactile learner or visual learner. And it's just stuff like that. And it's kind of fun. And then the career search. And then if you decide you want to be a mechanic or you want to work on airplanes, or I had one student who was very specific. He wanted to be a wind turbine mechanic. So where do you go do that? And that's kind of where it identifies, because it'll then match you up with where would you go to get that done? You know, to your college, trade school, four-year college, or whatever.
Yeah, it does look, and then they can look at colleges and figure out how to work on scholarships and maybe those types of things.
It also tracks your schedule too. It'll keep track as you start junior high school. It'll keep track of everything that you've done. And if you know your requirements for high school and beyond, do a resume, and it keeps track of all that stuff all in its house, all in one place.
It's right here in their clever.com. If they go to clever.com and log in with their Google account, there's a whole bunch of programs there, including typing.com is on here too. But this is Zillow. It says, welcome, start your first personality test, and then it goes through 25 questions, and
Is it on their student resources bookmark?
it's on the student resources, yeah.
So that's a nice thing if nobody knows what that is.
Yeah.
Don't they have like the student resources where we
Yeah,
have our
yeah, we have
educator?
teacher resources and they should just do.
It gives them, it also gives them some ideas. It's like, do you want to, oh, I want to live in a 10,000 square foot house and yet I want to be a dog walker, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
too.
just, those things just don't line up very well,
Yeah.
you know? And so it gives you not only, it's like what, it gives you information about a specific career. So we'll take the wind turbine person. Well, how much do those people make a year? What is the outlook
job
for
outlook,
the
yeah.
future? Is it a growing industry? Is it a stagnant industry? Is it declining? You know, where would you know, what do you, it interviews people that have that job. What do you like about this job? What do you don't like about this job? You know, what is a typical day for you doing? And so it gives the students a lot of information. The personality thing kind of gives them, I think, 5 options. I had a student who did it, and it came up lion tamer, and he went, no, I don't want to do that. You know, and so he was like, no. And so you can pick other careers that are in different places that are not necessarily matched to your personality, but maybe that's what you want to do anyway. So
So when do you suggest they start taking that, or looking at?
Seventh grade.
7th grade is when they can start, that's the earliest. Okay.
And you do it every year through.
and it changes. The different assignments change every year.
And you guys administer that if they're going for, or maybe you guys have to do that.
That's
This year we actually had you guys, we created a remote class, remote Zella class, and you had to sign up for 1 trimester, whatever trimester you wanted, whether it was spring or winter. If you wanted to do a remote class, and it honestly was just a reminder to do it.
I'm just wondering if that's something they can do at home.
Totally something you could do at home. Yeah, you could just, today, you could go home and pull Zilla up and take a look at it.
Oh,
Yeah, you could totally do that if you have a 7th grader.
yeah, okay, I was just wondering.
And can I share too that for 6th grade, 6th graders get a Chromebook, okay? And for my class, I expect them to always have their Chromebook. We do things at times on the Chromebook. So it's very important that they have one now. Some of you may not want them to have the Chromebook and take it home. That's okay. I'm working with a student now who checks it in and out of the library. But if you try to bring a laptop from your home and use it here, it will not work. So it needs to be a Chromebook, okay? So.
A charge Chromebook.
A charge Chromebook, yes. Borrow a charger from there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We all speak from experience.
Yes.
Does it have to be a school Chromebook?
Yes, that's what I meant. Yes,
Because
every
we bought
student gets a
Chromebooks so we
Chromebook
could manage
here.
it on our own.
Yeah, but see, it's all set up for this, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Wi-Fi is the problem.
You were talking about binders?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a part of this, this boot camp. I really push that students have binders and that they have, we talk about how to section off their subjects so that they can easily find the information. We're gonna have to do that one again because I've noticed that the 6th graders it's a little messy right now. So I'm like, dude, you need a new binder. So, yeah. But if you want to look at any of this stuff, I also have my class expectations. I have, this goes out right away, and I have you and your student read it and sign it so that you understand what my expectations are, what you can expect from me, what I expect from your student. I believe you have something like that. You might have something like that, okay?
We all do.
Yeah, so, but there's one there if you want to look at it.
One thing that I've noticed, I think I can speak for everybody, is that one of the challenges in if you can teach your kids to be organized and try to organize their classes. I think that the more organized they are, the younger they are, the better they're going to achieve as they go along. All of us are messy adults, like we suck too at organization sometimes, but I think it's really important to give them those skills. You know, how do they track their assignments? How do they know when they're due? What do they work on first? How they prioritize? And I try to help, and I think all of us do that in class, we try to help them with that. I saw a student the other day though, I said, hey, do you have your assignment? And his backpack was like, yikes, Ollie. You know, he's pulling out all these crunched up papers. They've been lost in space at the bottom of his backpack. And I know that Kelly and I, when I taught my study skills class, I started doing a backpack check. And they had to have, yeah, they had to do that, you know, do you have your binder? Do you have your assignments? Can you show me how they're organized? Do you have something to write with? Not like a paint crayon or something. Do you have, you know, the stuff that you need? So it is amazing how much stuff gets lost at the back of the bottom of a bag, and then they're trying to get it, and then they turn it into us, and it's all crunched up and or ripped up or something like that. So I think organizational skills, as much as we can teach them those prior to getting to the core classes, and then, you know, as they're in the core classes, to be a support from home so that they keep everything organized and in on time preferably. I know that we're all pretty flexible, but you know, in on time, try to learn those really valuable skills. It starts with organization, and everybody's different. I mean, I use myself as an example. You know, listing, people love to make lists. You know, some people love lists. They can make a list and it's really satisfying to scratch that off and get it done. I make a fabulous list and then I just lose it. So that doesn't help me, you know, so, and everybody's different. It's like taking your what kind of learner are you type of a test in your Zello. It's really interesting for the kids if they're tactile learners or visual learners, so that they do really well if they read and then answer questions. They're better if they see something and then answer questions. It's helpful information for them to know, but it's also helpful in trying to figure out what's best people, you know, for them personally to organize. People are buying, you know, some people do really great with a planner and some people hate planners. So it just really depends on your individual student and what is going to work for them.
But expect that for most of the 6th and 7th graders that I know, they need their parent making sure that they're getting their work done, checking every so often, and to make sure that the assignments are in that binder and ready to turn in and stuff, because these students are learning how to be independent learners. If you're homeschooling, you're probably on it with them all the time. But now with core class, they have to take on more responsibility, which is great. They have to learn to be independent learners and take responsibility, but they need your support. Okay?
And please, 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 please talk to your students about what they're learning in class, because that really helps solidify some of those concepts for them too. For 7th grade, we don't do tests, but we do projects. So I always give them a rubric, and I go, this is what you get graded on. I send it home with the parents too. And my goal, hopefully, is that you will, as a parent, will grade your kid's stuff. That way when I get it, that they get 100%. So, I mean, the expectation is that anybody should be able to get 100% in that class, in the 7th grade class, on those projects, because I'm telling you exactly what you're gonna get graded on. So talk with them. Go over it with them, look at them, go and go, oh, it looks like you did this, oh, you meant, where's this part here where it says you need 3 references? I only see 2. Go get another reference. Or I had one student who needed to, I gave him points for what did you learn about this project? And the kid didn't put anything on there. And I was like, that's the easiest points of the whole thing. So please talk with them.
Any other questions?
Since Mr. Bice wasn't here for math, can you quickly, everyone know, is it just one class option for 6th grade for math, and do you know what curriculum that is?
Well, so he has the 6th grade and then pre-algebra and algebra.
But a
eligible
6th
for
grader
pre-algebra.
wouldn't be going into pre-algebra, would
Yeah.
they, or could
Maybe a
they?
little- I'm not saying a lot, but probably 10%.
Okay, so how would we know that, what they were
Yeah,
ready for?
iReady.
The iReady will
Yeah.
tell you
Yes.
which class.
And we
they
call
should
it
be
Math
in.
6, 7 only because if they happen to go to another school, since we don't have a grade 7 math, that kind of covers you from not being placed back into 7. Because we teach 6, 7 as a
Does he use
pre-algebra.
Saxon? Does he use
He
Saxon?
doesn't, he uses big ideas, is that right?
I
Big
don't
math?
know.
Yeah.
I know that
It's in the library.
he's working on, there's some potential changes on.
He's not a huge fan. Mrs. Oster wasn't either, so.
Of what?
Big math, I think it's called Big
So he's using something he's not a big fan of?
They have co-curriculums that they use as well. So you'll see, I mean, just like you do, you're using Saxon, but you're also using something else.
Okay,
So-
so
No, yeah,
6th, 7th math or pre-algebra.
yeah. And it just says 6, 7 because it's easier for you to transfer somewhere else to then go into pre-algebra or math
Okay.
8, depending on what they have there.
Anything else?
Do the students take home textbooks for classes?
I have the Shirley English textbooks. I don't burden them with that because it is really heavy. So really, they get one of these, the consumable workbook. And we work on it, we'll work on it in class, and then they do the assignment in here. So for me, no, but when it comes to like a novel, yeah, they have that to do. So.
I know for mine, I give the kids, I give all of them textbook at the beginning of the school year, and I go, take it home. I don't want to see it. And so, it's very rarely that a student will need a textbook in class for science, for 7th grade science.
When I started teaching all the histories, not teaching science, all the histories, I asked Mr. Evans if he would purchase the TCI textbooks that the district uses all around, mainly just for the textbook piece, like just to have an online textbook. So they always have access to it online. And that's true of all my classes. That'll probably stay true as we go along. I think I need it less in US history. But the world studies textbook and the ancient studies textbook, and I know the 7th grade textbook as well, they're published in 2003. And not that history changes and ancient history changes, but it's the way in which people approach history has now changed. And so just having an updated textbook, and the TCI, if you love it or hate it, it's a really good resource for information. So they always have access to that, yeah, online, all the time. And it's super easy, you get to it through Clever, like what Mr. Ross had up here, you get through it, and it's just click, click, and you're in. Gotta love to love it and love to not love it sometimes too. And I kind of take a lot of resources from a lot of different places. So they do have a textbook, and I agree with what Mr. Lickey says. There is access to a textbook. We have all those textbooks in the library. And I tell the kids, like especially the high school kids, if you want a textbook, take it home, go to the library and get one, and take it home. And just leave it there. It's a great resource if you're doing research or whatnot. They do so much, they do so much stuff online, research and whatnot, so. But they will have access to all the history stuff online.
They need a textbook for science, but because like Ross showed you I do the exact same thing, handouts from the readings from the book, and so you need the book to go through that stuff. But there is also an online book as well that all the students have access to. And so like I said, I see kids 2 days a week. I don't have time for them to use their textbooks in class, so they use those at home.
Well, and also the online textbooks that the district uses, like the TCI curriculum, it has an audible element, so the kids can listen to it. They can have it read to them. They can select a button that will highlight all of the main ideas and stuff. So there's some really good helps for the kids that need the help with their reading and comprehension of the information and the vocabulary and stuff.
And I do have another question. So I know the TCI is a district-used curriculum. What about for math and literacy? Are these also district curriculums that are being used?
I predominantly, when it comes to writing, use TV Academics, and I know that it's used in other school districts. I don't know that it's used here, though, in this school district.